Cool, welcome back guys to the channel. I want to do a quick little sound design video today. Looking at that sound that you just heard, if you've seen any videos of the Korg multi-poly, you've most likely heard this opening patch called the Tom Sawyer sweep. Now this is actually the original of this, that this patch was inspired by, is from Rush, and it was done on a Oberheim OBXA, I believe it is, with the original one, not the reissue. I forget the naming of the Oberheim stuff. Regardless, I want to take a look at how you can kind of create this kind of growl. There's just something really, really cool about that filter growl. So we're going to take a look at how we can do this in other ways outside of multi-poly. I mean, this is turning into one of my favorite synths at the moment. Just for sound design stuff, it really does lead you down some very interesting roads when it comes to building sounds. I've been making a couple of presets, stuff like this, get some really intricate. Anyways, beautiful synthesis, but not everybody has this, and I want to take a look at how you can kind of get the same quality out of something just simple like Polymer in Bitwig. So we're going to open up an instance of Polymer quickly and kind of recreate that sound or try to get something similar. So one of the defining characteristics of that sound is the filter. We do actually have a XP filter here, which is the Oberheim style filter. It's down to a lot of, quite a lot of sort of harmonic content that you're pushing through, but then also the resonance of the filter is really what kind of creates that sound. And then I'll show you a cool little trick to kind of really accentuate the growl as well. Let's get the basics down first though. I know that the initial one, I believe, was 2 pulse waves. The one in the multi-poly is actually 2 saw waves, I think it is. And then detuned, sometimes you can do a sort of unison patch as well, which is kind of really push it over the edge. We may try all of those. So I set my default oscillator for Polymer to bite a lot of the time. I really like this one just because it's essentially, it feels very, very similar to something like a Jupiter 8's oscillator section here, although it does have some of these, actually these are very typical of the Alpha Juno. But yeah, there's some cool waveforms in here, but you also got 2, and they can also modulate each other, and they've got PWM on the pulse waves. So let's maybe try this with a pulse wave first, and we'll just bring in a regular LFO here just to kind of add some modulation to the pulse width, and we'll just set that to 1 way, I think. Okay, so that's starting to thicken things up already. Right, so we could bring in the second one here. And we could do the same in terms of modulate the pulse of this. Maybe good. Then what we could also do here is we could run these the same too. That's pretty thick already. We could even come down with a second octave down, bring another pulse from the sub if you want it to get really kind of big and heavy. I think the 2 may be sufficient, but we'll see how it goes. Now, like I said, the trick here is to kind of give it just a little bit of attack on the filter envelope. So this is the sound just as is. The real magic of the sound comes from the amount of resonance that you're going to push through here. And there you go. So you're starting to get that kind of quality that we're looking for. I may also just use the stereo detune to kind of widen things up a little bit. It's not quite growly enough. I think the original one is just this. I the original Oberheim patch is just this, but in this case, we're going to kind of accentuate that growl even more by using filter FM on this. Now, there's a couple of ways that you could do this. I mean, if you were in the grid, for example, it's pretty simple to, let's say if we were going to convert this to a grid patch, it'd be pretty simple to sort of patch one of these oscillators into the pitch input over here, add it to the filter EG. But we don't have to do that in the grid. We can actually just create an extra oscillator in this and freely route it around as well using just the modulator tab here. To do that, we're going to bring in another LFO. And I can kind of just, let's demonstrate this to you quickly. Bring in a DC offset here. I want to get we'll use a triangle wave to modulate the cutoff of the filter. But I want it to be at the same frequency as the pitch that we're using. So currently this is not going to be audible, and we could modulate this. You're not going to hear anything until you get to 50 hertz. Doesn't go any further than that. We could try kilohertz. But that doesn't track the pitch, and we could pitch track this LFO dial here, but there's a much easier way to do that, and that's just to set the pitch of current note as your source for the LFO speed. Set this back to 1. There you go. We've essentially got an extra oscillator there that we can use as mod source now for anything in our patch. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to modulate the filter cutoff. We can dial this back and just take a listen now. Let's kind of get a nice, we're also going to set this to a mono patch, I think. We'll go mono. And I want this to glide. Just make sure that if your glide's not working the way you think, that you've got this retrigger is not on always. Mine is by default for some reason. I need to change that. Now we should be on glide. Okay. Listen to what happens when we dial in a little bit of this filter modulation now. Or, yeah, frequency modulation on the filter. There you go, you're starting to get that. Now, if we wanted to get this one down an octave, we can simply just a 1 to 2 ratio. It's going to be 0.5, which will bring that down an octave. That's better too. We could even go down 2 octaves. It's a little bit slow now for us, so we're going to go back to 1.5 there again. Yeah, and that's sounding great, like really nice and growly and just big now. It's got that kind of epic 80s lead sound to it. Okay, cool. Let's just try one more thing with this. We'll kind of put this into a unison mode. Let's just experiment with this quickly. Let's change our byte oscillator to, I'm going to actually just duplicate this so we've got 2 different versions of this sound. Let's go to a swarm, which is just an easy way to kind of get this big detuned saw wave. But we've lost the bass now, so we kind of need to bring in some of the sub. It's pretty nice too. But really the characters from that frequency modulation on the cutoff. Take a listen to this one again. Right, let's just try and finish this patch off as well. Maybe bring in some chorusing. We could also double everything. Yeah, we've got this detuning on the stereo channels. But let's say, for instance, we wanted to let's bring in some voice stacking. We'll make this really, really massive now, and we'll bring in a stack index here, or voice control. Stack spread is the one we're looking for. We'll go from -1 to +1 here, and just watch your voice levels. We'll use this to spread the pitches slightly. We're also going to spread the stereo out a little bit as well. Let's maybe also do PWM on some of the voices. That sounds pretty big now. Let's try chorus plus for this. Quite like this ×2 effect that we have here. Yeah, I like that with a little bit of the chorus. Let's also just add in a slight bit of delay on this one. Stereo delay. Yeah, and there we go. Hey, just to add in a little bit of expressiveness to that, we can just add in expressions. We'll bring down the filter envelope here and add a velocity modifier to that one. Yeah, I think that sounds pretty great. Not going to be exactly the same as the Tom Sawyer patch, but let's just take a look here. Yeah, it's pretty good actually with the extra bit of weight from the sub here. Cool. Yeah, I think that sounds pretty epic. I will put this patch on the Patreon for you guys to download. Also, this trick with the LFO, obviously this can be used for multiple different things as well, so just bear that one in mind. It's a pretty neat little trick for doing other stuff like FM on, or pitch FM as well on oscillators. So it doesn't have to be only for the filter. Let's just take a listen to that. So for instance, if you were just using a triangle here, for example, let's bring the sub down. There's a triangle wave. You can actually use this, and we've got this at 0.50, which is an octave below the current triangle that we're playing. You can actually use this now to basically add some FM to the pitch that we have here. So we've got FM now just from the modulation itself. Pretty handy to be able to do that just on that panel. And you get some pretty gnarly growls with this too. So wave. Pretty nice little effect to mess around with on Polymer in Bitwig. Cool. I'll catch you guys soon on the channel. Till then, take care. See you then. Cheers.